Seeing as the convention is coming to a close.
Excuse me, so you do consent to...
He started.
Oh, sorry.
Seeing as the convention has come to the close, what have been your takeaways and how was your experience?
I think I've attended a number of these through the years, and of the recent series, I'm really impressed by what the outcome of this one is. I think in terms of production, of positive results, in terms of the objectives of defining the directions for the organization in the future, the ability, particularly notably by the new Executive Vice President Rick Ng, to integrate a new generation in with the proceedings that are ongoing, which are very traditional, and get that new generation to feel fully participatory, and in return for the members of the council to feel like they welcome these people without any division, any or separation, as if it was one family, is something I've never seen before in maybe at least 2 or 3 decades. So I see this as a huge success. The other thing that comes out of it, what you want to do in a convention is to have all the participants energized, feeling positive that they could accomplish something for their community. In this case, the Chinese-American communities from which they come. I got that sense. I see people leaving out of here in a happy spirit, and I haven't seen that in the last 2 or 3 conventions previously. There's been too much chaos, too much confusion, too much lack of closure. This thing had perfect closure, had perfect declaration, with the courtesies expressed to those who have given service, and the courtesies of welcome to those who are newcomers. I'm just very, very satisfied as an old-timer.
Speaking about your time in C.A.C.A., could you speak a little to how you first got involved and what's kept you here?
I first got involved because I was recruited in Los Angeles by a colleague in my group in engineering in the aerospace industry. Just asked me to go down to Chinatown and happened to meet another leader who was actually worked in our local post office. Those 2 things combined drew me back into Chinatown, because I had pretty much left Chinatown, where I was born and raised in San Francisco here. And so I got deeper into the leadership structure of Chinatown, a number of different organizations, and then finally this particular one. What keeps me here, I think I'm going to be a little bit special about it, not to brag or to be elitist about it, but basically because one of the key founders of the Chinese-American Citizens Alliance in 1895 was my granduncle. This is actually entirely my family history. And because it is my family history, it drives me to once again try to understand what's happening and what happened in San Francisco Chinatown, which in its majority, especially before World War II, is what was happening in the nationwide Chinese-American community. So one thing leads to another, and finally you start looking at the national history and how it fits into our practice of citizenship as Chinese. Chinese start with 1 or 2 strikes behind because of the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, and how we have dug up from under it, how we've shown the resilience, how we've shown the inventiveness to make our style of citizenship, if you wish, and try to become successful with it here in America.
You've spoken about your family's legacy and your deep connections with the organization. What have you been most proud of, and what do you hope your legacy is as you continue?
My legacy? I don't think of my legacy. I'm hoping that the legacy of this organization, which is now 130 years and ticking, as I was showing earlier in the hour, is actually behind you in the wall. There are achievements on behalf of doing something impactful for the Chinese American community. In this particular case, 4 times we've impacted federal law and actually been able to change federal law. The most important time in 1946 for our Wives Reunion Act, which reunified Chinese American families, Chinese American native born American men here, finally being able to bring over the wives they had to marry in China because there are no women here in the United States. That unification, plus bringing their children over, who are now American citizens because they were all men born in the United States, is probably still the salient achievement of this organization over 130 years. Still, recently, we were participatory in initiating the apology acts, the expressions of regret that took place in 2011 and 12. And most recently, okay, so to pick up, we are hugely responsible for being a major community sponsor initiator of trying to achieve the expressions of apology for the Congress passing the 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. That's not generally known, but we actually, in fairness, we're partnershiping with an organization they're now known by the United Chinese Americans as well. So the two of us teamed together actually to create the infrastructure, the steering committee that eventually led to the successful resolutions being passed in the House and the Senate that did not render apologies because of political considerations, forced to kind of change the title of what was achieved to expressions of regret. But that hugely was still very important to the Chinese American and the Asian American community, that at least that milestone was achieved. Then our final moment to try to do something to unify the community and its sense of patriotism and its practice of citizenship was the passage of the recognition of our Chinese American World War II veterans by the passage of the Congressional Gold Medal Act of 2018 signed by Donald Trump. These are singular achievements, pretty much single-handedly achieved by the Chinese American Citizens Alliance, often even without too much coalition. Going it alone with the right alliances. In the case of the Gold Medal Act, a consortium of 12 star officers or senior executives who were Chinese Americans who strongly felt that these veterans of World War II needed to be recognized. And so they were our influential allies that managed to get that act past Congress, as well as to be signed, in addition to one very important key Republican leader of that moment. That is a congressman by the name of Ed Royce.
Thank you. You've spoken about all that C.A.C.A has accomplished. What are your hopes for the next generation of C.A.C.A leaders as we continue into the new years?
Well, I guess I still see us eventually. Some time ago, I had hoped that we were an organization that was slowly outliving its need for a mission, that things were getting so much better for the Chinese Americans in the United States. Then all of a sudden, in the recent decade or so, there's been a sharp U-turn, if you wish, back to the past. And I suddenly realized, oh my goodness, we have always been a frontline, almost, if you wish, in the social and political world, kind of like a first responder. So what do I anticipate? That we just train ourselves by education and our ability to sound the voice, the unified voice for the nation, especially for people of Chinese ancestry, a special group of Americans, to be able to defend, to be able to protect our rights, and to be able to maintain them, and to be able to always reach a better equity in our way of doing our American citizenship, which we so dearly love. So that is an ambition, that is the goal. It is a tough goal, it's a goal that demands a little bit of courage, a little bit of ability, willing to stick your neck out sometimes, but then the satisfaction is having to achieve something that is good for the community, but once good for the Chinese-American community. If you want to study American history, just as the African Americans have discovered, whatever they've done that's good, eventually becomes good for all of America. And that's our goal. That's our goal, is to get to that point, that ideal point of a better America.
I want to be respectful of your time, so I think we're at a good stopping point. And thank you so much.
Thank you.